the things I like and do generally change.
Is
Um,
there anything that has stayed that you've always liked?
Making music, playing video games, and mech warriors
You've
and
always liked them?
RPGs. Yeah, I've always liked that game. It's one I always return to.
I remember I got Mech Warrior 2 when I was that was like one of the first games I ever got for the PC. I got it for my birthday with the actual joystick.
Oh yeah,
But then I ended up getting X-Wing. There was a computer store where I could rent X-Wing versus TIE Fighter from the gaming store by my house, and I rented that. And that was I had way more fun on that.
really. Mech Warrior is different. I mean, yeah, it's slower and more. I don't know.
It's more there's a lot more buttons, and you're actually pretending to operate a mech.
There's a lot. It's kind of. I mean, I think there's a lot of strategy involved
And it moves
potentially.
like a tank. I wasn't expecting it to be like tank controls.
No, that's what I like. It's like a slow ass tank. I mean, yeah, they're these giant ass walking tanks, and you're just obliterating each other, and it's there's a high time to kill, not like a fast paced like space shooter. So like, yeah, you're battling another mech for a period of time, and it's dangerous.
So you've had an exciting day or two. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're okay. Can we talk about what happened?
I'm too scared. I I I think they might hear me.
They definitely hear you.
Yeah, yeah, yesterday I woke up at like 4 a.m. And then I don't know, I took like a deep breath or something, and then had this like sharp pain throughout my chest, and then that happened a few more times, and then after that, it just like I got a sharp pain if I did any had anything more than just a shallow breath. So I had to breathe very shallow, and then that started triggering panic and anxiety, and then you know my heart starts pounding, and I start shaking. Um, and then but yeah, like I could feel like I could barely breathe. Um, so I got Tracy to drive me to the emergency room, and then um, they do like the EKG and blood work and stuff, and then while I was there, it eventually got better and went away. Um, but just like any time I've ever been to a doctor, there's no one's ever found anything wrong with me, but I've been to plenty of doctors about plenty of stuff, which is, I think most everything I experience is psychosomatic. But I mean, this was a real thing going on, but it's not really. I've had this experience before where, like, usually after I've been laying in bed or am laying in bed, if I take a deep breath, I'll get kind of a sharp pain sometimes, but it goes away generally. Um, so, but it did. Man, that's the second time I've been to the ER, and like, might have been there 4 weeks ago because
Yeah.
that's my heart started pounding really hard, and I couldn't breathe, and I felt like I couldn't like walk around or move, or it would like kill me or something. But it didn't feel like a regular kind of panic thing to me. But um, again, there's no discernible cause. But um, between that stuff, there's just some like anxiety, chronic stress, and anxiety cause the feelings that make you stressed. Um, and it's a really stupid feedback loop. Um, but Yeah, so like with the eye issues I've been having, which are not entirely caused by, but are definitely exacerbated by chronic tension and stress. Which is funny because I don't walk around feeling like stressed. So it's like, oh, I'm not stressed. Um, but then I can look at the effects on my body and the things going on maybe in my environment, and there's always, okay, well, there's a bunch of stressors, and then my body keeps just collapsing. Um, and I can identify chronic tension in the body, like there's some part of my body is constantly bracing or tensed up. It's been like that for a long time. And I think it's getting better because I'm intentionally addressing it this year. Um, Actually, maybe why it feels like it's getting worse is because I'm actually not holding everything down. Um,
What do you did the doctor explain what was going on, what he thought it was, or have you gotten any insight into it psychologically
um,
from
yeah,
others?
I mean, there's a thing where you can get like that pain when you're breathing in deep, and it goes away, kind of like it's kind of like a pinched nerve in your side or something. So it could have been something like that. Um, and then there's like a costochondritis or something, where like your rib cage or like the lining inside your chest gets inflamed or sensitive or something. So like expansion of the chest can trigger pain. Um, so I don't know. It went away, but um, I mean, I really believe everything I experienced. So I had GI issues, like stomach issues, for a few years. I went to a couple doctors about it and tried all these different diets and stuff. And then I was eating lunch. I lost a lot of weight because like um I yeah, early on when I got sober, like I had panic attacks for the first time, but I didn't know what they were, and so I thought I was having a reaction to something in the environment or something I was eating or a medicine I was taking. So I had this kind of somewhat traumatic experience with a panic attack that I didn't know what it was and went to the ER. That was like 8 years ago. Um, that happened like a couple times, and then I think that like imprinted in me this idea that uh, something is causing like some kind of reaction in my body. And so I spent the next like 5 years trying to identify and avoid whatever it was that was causing what was going on. What was going on was symptoms of anxiety, but I didn't know. Like somehow I'd been to therapists and treatment centers and expensive psychiatrists and psychologists, and I had no clue what anxiety actually felt like or what the symptoms were, even though I'd been experiencing them my whole life. No one had ever been able to show me the fucking basic. So, like, I spent 5 years realizing that the stuff that I was afraid of was just symptoms of stress and anxiety, like pounding heart, headaches, chest pain, um, stomach issues. Like, it causes all kinds of weird feelings. Um, and I realized this by uh, uh, I was doing research online. I found a lot of Reddit stories and then anxiety subreddits and stuff. And then I saw this was like a common experience. But the thing is, like, over time, I realized, like, okay, this is anxiety. And then, but that didn't make it go away. That didn't make anxiety go away. But it helped knowing, okay, this is psychosomatic, not actually some kind of deadly undiagnosed condition that's slowly killing me, which I believed for many years, and had like acute anxiety, fear, like afraid I was dying, like almost every night for years. Um, and the A program's great, but it didn't put a dent in that shit. And no one in the rooms talks about, like, you're almost like looked down on for like wanting to get therapy in addition to doing the steps, or like getting outside help or whatever, even though it's not universally, um, you know, looked down on like that, but like I feel like there's a lot of sentiment that like the steps should be enough, surrender should be enough, like just, doing the program should be enough. Like why are you trying to run your own program kind of stuff? I don't know. Um, but so yeah, I thought, I just do more steps, do more inventory, um, do more, you know, spiritual whatever. Like, no, that doesn't solve a physiological feedback loop. Um, they just there's there's shit in the nervous system that needs to be treated that's not treated with more thought. And at the end of the day, like the AA program is thought based. Like you're taking actions, but it's about rearranging or realigning or your thoughts, your thinking. Um, but thinking's not the entire issue. For some people it is, but in my case it's not. Like I've tried to spiritually bypass this stuff. Like I saw that I'd temporarily gain relief from like anxiety or stress through certain, insights or alterations in state of consciousness through certain spiritual practices, generally random, which my mind would then try to repeat and cause an obsessive loop that actually caused anxiety and took me out of whatever peaceful state had been attained. Um, but I tried to bypass all this through. I'm going to get a spiritual insight. I'm going to get, yeah, I'm just going to, go straight to go. And, once I realized like that's not going to happen, or if it does, like I can't control, maybe there's some kind of permanent abiding peaceful state or whatever, but like it's certainly outside of my control or anyone's control to create that on purpose. And certainly trying to create that on purpose is preventing that anyway. Um, so I saw that wasn't going to happen. Like I was like, so like I had to treat this stuff. And really it's only this year that like I've made like a conscious decision to actually um, treat this stuff in a structured way and not just kind of do my own version of insight, inventory, and meditation to try to conquer it, which just wasn't working and was making it worse. Um, which I've learned another thing. It's like trying to fix these things makes it worse because one, it validates the idea that there's something wrong, and two, it creates more stress or tension because there's an effort to try to control the body. Um, and so it's actually creating the, my attempts to fix or creating the condition I'm trying to fix. And I think that applies broadly to a lot of human suffering. Anyway, I had these GI issues. I started doing this research, found, and then, but what I realized is it was more likely anxiety than anything. And I would get in deep on these forums on Reddit or whatever, and there's these groups of people with mysterious illnesses that are like debilitating, but there's no diagnosis, no doctor can identify anything, but it'll be loosely, these people are having nerve issues, these people are having GI issues, these people are having headache issues, whatever. And what I realized was, I realized this, what I'm experiencing is caused by my belief in it. And as like I saw it in these people online, and I wanted to be like, and they're like debilitated, and I wanted to be like, no, dude, the stuff you're talking about right now is what's causing your issue. And like I saw it, and then I stopped special diets. I stopped trying to fix it. I realized I was causing it psychosomatically, and it stopped. Like I got better as soon as I stopped trying to fix it. I stopped the diet that I'd spent like years formulating, and I got better. All of a sudden, I could eat all these foods that were off limits before. So that was an eye opener. Um,
So
but
what do you think's going on now? What do you think's going on now?
um, who knows? But I can tell you, I've been trying to control things for a while, and so like, I think it's all tension in the body leads to all sorts of things. If one muscle group is tense for an extended period of time, it affects other muscle groups. It's like, um, what I realized recently is a lot of the headaches I've been having is actually just fucking muscle tension. It feels like a migraine. It feels like something's wrong, but it's because the muscles in my head are tense from straining, and that's partly due to incorrect prescription. So I literally have to strain to see. Um, but then it's like my worry about it, and then my fixation on my eyes on seeing creates further tension. So it's like the problem couldn't clear itself up because I was paying too close attention to it.
Are you still doing your are you still do, were you or have you been doing any meditative practices or anything?
No. So one thing that opened my eyes a lot too, so like, last year I spent a lot of time with this um evangelical, Bible literalist pastor it was very helpful, and I learned a lot about how to work and how to be a man from this guy. Because I'd never, from age like 15 to 28, I was a free range drug addict. And so like I didn't learn any coping skills, how to work, anything. I learned how to avoid work. But anyway, I learned a lot of practical lessons from him. But so in his view, and I don't agree with this at all, although like there are parts I do agree with, but like his view, anything that seems like a spiritual path other than just simply believing in Jesus is, from the devil, is misleading, is rebellion against God. And
But
I was
this is wait, hold on. This is the guy you followed for a year, or you like?
yeah, about 6 months before I broke off.
Okay. Also, NS says good morning, and also relates to the panic attacks. He said he's had panic attacks himself, and the reason for him is an overloaded hard drive on his
Yeah.
computer. I'm just kidding, not his computer.
So yeah, so dude, and the reason I hooked up with this guy is because like I was looking for an answer, because like I'd come to a place of defeat, just like when I'd come into AA for the first time with drugs, but this defeat was more at a life or existential level, because I was facing the economic ruin and fallout from a failed business attempt, um, and also just like realizing that it was my planning, it was all my plans and attempts to build things that had created a life that was so stressful for me that I was collapsing. And it wasn't that like I was failing materially, although like um yeah, not necessarily failing materially. Not I made some bad financial decisions, which made me feel like I was in danger, but really it was like my grip. I had a bunch of cash, but it was locked up in assets I refused to sell because I had this idea of this future where I'm a multimillionaire. And so so those things were off limits. But like I was experiencing the stress of not having enough, or how am I going to pay for my house, when I had plenty of money to do it, but I couldn't touch it because of these plans I'd created for 10 years down the road. And once I let go of that, it freed up all this cash that I already had. And it was weird. But anyway, so I got hooked up with this guy, and I was, I put down my ideas. I tried to, all Eastern practices, philosophy, anything was of the devil. Okay, great. I'll go along with it. And so I stopped meditating. I stopped because he was just, there's not all Christians are against meditation, but I think Baptists are suspicious of all that kind of stuff, or Bible literalists or whatever. It's really very interesting. And now I'm in an Episcopal church which is a lot more liberal, where in the morning groups there, I can't even tell what spiritual tradition we're in because there's so many different thoughts and viewpoints. And there's one guy who's literally just a Buddhist. He's just like, I don't believe in Jesus. I'm just a Buddhist guy. I don't even know why he's in the morning group at our church. Very interesting crowd. But anyway, okay, so I stopped meditating. I also stopped doing introspection and reflection, and I just automatically was like, I'm just gonna let God handle this. I'm gonna believe what I'm being told. Like I've repeated the formula about Jesus and what the correct doctrine. Therefore, like like according to doctrine, I have the Holy Spirit, whether or not I feel like it or it seems to be there, and just go about my business. And I did a lot of work with this guy. Um, I published, a 4-volume series of the King James Version Bible with broken down into weekly sections with like study guides and note space. A real deal product. Spent a lot of hours working with him on that, helping his mission for free. And so one of the things, I prayed for was, God, show me what to do for work. And then I end up working for this guy for free, making Bible study material, which was really, really good experience. And it's odd because I thought I was in this dire financial situation at the beginning of the year. Then I spend that year working for free, and I still haven't had to make any money. Uh, it's really, really weird.
There's a couple things that have come up while you were talking that I think are interesting. I want to share. Double says asked if you had retinal imaging with a fundus camera.
Um, I mean, I've gotten several eyes. I mean, I've gotten like a bunch of eye exams. It started happening a few years ago, but just got acutely worse like in the last couple months. But no, there's nothing. No, my eyes are fine. The optic nerve is fine. It's perfect.
Clementine, good morning, Clementine. She says long-term grief needs extra nutrients, alpha lipoic acid, magnesium, potassium, and that nerve damage can be healed. And then Ines says, this is what I thought was really interesting, was when the threshold of emotional suppression is crossed, they spontaneously begin to leak out, panic
yes,
attack.
Absolutely. And I believe it leaks out in other ways. I believe emotions manifest physically if not expressed for long enough. And you grew up with a lot of depression and anxiety and anger. And that's never been fully resolved. I'm actually working with a therapist now who does EMDR and like some other techniques. So it's not talk therapy. I've gone to plenty of therapists where I just talk. I'm good at talking. I can tell you all the insights I thought about this week, and it's nothing new to me. But in this therapy, there's like guided visualization, bilateral sound, and eye movement that's designed to do something different. I don't know. But what I did identify was that my chest is where I keep sadness. But I don't really experience sadness. It's been so suppressed. My moods are anxious, angry, frustrated, or neutral. And although lately, like this year, I've started actually being happier, which is funny because I've also started feeling actually sad periodically more. So it's not just this other physical stuff that's popping. Like I've actually started to experience, patches of joy or happiness. So, one thing I prayed for at the end of last year and the beginning of this year was like, and I said, God, like I'm ready for this stuff to come out. Like I know it's all in there. Like I'm ready to face whatever's in. It doesn't need to be held down anymore. I want to release the stuff, face it, and grow. So it's actually no surprise that I'm going through this stuff now. I feel every time I'm going through something uncomfortable, I can actually look back at a prayer I've said that's at the root of it. And usually the prayer is I want to grow in some way, I want to face something, or I want to experience something. And the idea is God's just gonna like make that happen. But the reality is I'm in the way. So I have to be forcibly moved out of the way, and it hurts. But then it's like, shit, this is actually what I prayed for. And it's a good prayer when it gets answered. So this is this is actually what I wanted. Um, and man, I could talk about what I've learned by not being able to use the computer due to the eye shit. Like I can, this week's been a lot better. Actually, it's been way better since I went to church last Sunday and had the priest pray over me. I'm not shitting you. Um, and it's, is that a psychosomatic? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. But if it is, I don't really care what the mechanism of action is under the hood. But I pay attention to stuff like that. It's significant. Where were we in the story? Yeah, emotions leak.
Sorry, I'm sorry to hear that, Clementine. Clementine shared some stuff, and yeah, she prayed forever for her son. She lost her dad. No, she lost the father of her child when her son was 1.5 to heart issue, and then her son died recently. And she's sharing about nicotine and that helps with the brain. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough, you know. I've been listening to I've had a head full of Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson this week, and I've been thinking about thought and considering, because I could relate to everything you just shared. I remember the first panic attack I ever had. I didn't know it was a panic attack. I literally thought I was dying. I couldn't catch my breath. It was when I was living with Stefan in that small room.
In sobriety.
Yeah, this was in sobriety. It was and a friend of mine, Dr. Phil, I don't know how the heck we ended up on the phone together while I was having the panic attack. But I was involved with this group from Seattle, and yeah, he just walked me through what was happening for me, and he gave me a guided meditation to ease the tension in my body and bring my breath back. And he just kept encouraging me. He kept saying, "You're not dying. You're having a panic attack." He was describing it for me while I was experiencing it because I didn't know what was happening. And yeah, I mean, it was after hearing you talk and thinking about kind of the topic for today that I wanted to get into. I've got some notes here, but my life up until that point had been completely created through my own belief systems about who I was and what the world was and what I needed to do. And I was in a constant state of what I felt was control in my own life, while it was completely unmanageable, completely emotionally unmanageable, physically as well, in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean, from that point forward, after realizing I had been in a panic attack and I'd been broken up with Melissa at the time and I was on my own, that's when I started talking to Peter. That's when I started going over to his house every week for yoga. And I had to ask him tons of questions to figure out, how the hell do I get well? I don't know how to be well. The weird part for me though is I've never, and I can relate to what you described about hitting your knees and praying, and then the thing you're praying for creates the opportunity to grow into that space. It's almost like ordained in a way through one's own willingness or desire. And I've seen that. I've experienced that in my life. It's not what I experience today, though. When I asked you about meditation, I wanted to ask you, because I know you have a very active mind, the way my mind can be.
Oh yeah, I forgot to answer that question. So I stopped meditating and doing the intense reflection and introspection that I'd been doing for the past many years, and I got better. I got way better. I got all of the fruits I was attempting to achieve with meditation just on their own without effort. My life got better following this dude around, just like reading the Bible and not meditating anymore. And then everything started getting worse again once I broke away from that and started trying to engage in my own spiritual practices again.
So Ennis said something. He says going to religion and priests will only worsen the mental state.
It made mine better.
Well, based on what you just described, my thoughts in response to that, if you're open to hearing it.
Yeah.
So before I could learn how to be in awareness or be in being, before I could really learn how to exist in a meditative state, it was supplemented by the stimulation of other people around me, like Peter talking to me, giving me directions, different sponsors, different spiritual systems, different meditative techniques, different non-dual teachers. It was supplemented by the physical representation of something, till eventually I was able to learn how to exist in no thing. And ever since that has occurred, it's completely shifted the way discomfort, anxiety, and I would say less desirable emotions appear. How quickly they appear and how quickly they dissolve and how quickly change occurs. It happens so fast now. And I don't have to follow someone around.
Yeah, so that's not what I was getting from the people I was hanging out with. What I, was doing was actually living a grounded life where I worked a lot and didn't think about spend time overly examining myself or doing some kind of self-inquiry or existential contemplative practice or meditation.
But think about the fact that you've got a guy who fundamentally believes that you only need Jesus, and that's how he moves, that's how he speaks, that's how he talks, and then you're going to say that you're going to just completely turn your brain off and not interact with that?
What do you mean?
So if you're
Oh
in
no,
the
I couldn't fully get on board with it because I was like, I know there's more to it.
that's
Like
my
that was the
point.
whole,
That's my
yeah,
point. It's
I
still
couldn't.
you're still the mechanism at play that's attempting to organize itself in relationship to reality is still at play.
Yeah, no, there was a temporary suppression of what I thought and felt in order to go along with the system. It is not sustainable for me to stay in that. What did help, but there were a lot of helpful things that resulted. So, like, when NS talks about, um, the danger of religion or these spiritual, you know, leaders or priests or whatever, like, at a point, yeah, but being exposed to that system for a period of time was helpful for me. Like it's not sustainable for me to stay there, but like there was a lot of good stuff that came from that, and one that like I saw um
So you were asking me last week about cause and effect.
yeah,
And the biggest thing for me was when I ended up in that small room at Stefan's house. I had just gotten arrested, having panic attacks, stone cold sober, and the thought dawned on me that every decision in my life, every decision I'd ever made in my entire life had led me here to this state of being. Every decision. So even the things I thought I was doing that was good for me brought me to a state where I can't get out of the bed. I think I'm dying, and I had just gotten arrested.
yeah,
So like that's all I'm trying to point out is I'm trying to examine the underlying cause through which what is really occurring behind our eyes that seem like we may think things are helpful, and we could even create a narrative that says that was helpful, but to actually examine this, like what I'm currently experiencing.
yeah. So my this year I've been attempting to create a good life for myself based on my experience and everything I've learned. Yeah, and then I wind up in a place where like I can't actually work, my body's falling apart, and like emotionally, um there's some stuff going on. And so like that's as a direct result of me trying to create good stuff for myself. And it's not, my life isn't falling apart materially. Um, I purchased a
Yeah, but you
mount.
have you have the inability to look at screens for extended periods of times. You don't know whether or not you can do any
Yeah,
work on a day-to-day basis.
like materially, as in like I'm not homeless. I'm not getting
Yeah,
arrested. Like
but the material is irrelevant. The thing
I
that
know,
brings you to the ER is not the fact whether you have a house or not.
I know. I'm pointing that out because I think that's what most people would associate with a failure to run their life or unmanageability. It's the internal condition that's collapsing. Um,
Right.
identify that the source of that um, as control. And that's really what I've had to resurrender the past couple weeks, is like coming to that realization and having to like I have to let go of control. Um, and it's but the question, why? So I can be what I saw, the danger of spiritual practice, independent spiritual practice, that what I'd seen for me and what last year helped when I just kind of turned away from all that and just read the Bible instead or whatever, I saw how all my practices up to that point had been about control. Like my attempt to connect with the divine, my meditation, trying to self-inquiry, all of it was an attempt to control my experience. And I was getting worse. I wasn't like there was like a false peace, and then I experienced moments of real peace when I stopped meditating and I was just reading the
Right.
Bible or whatever.
Well,
Like that's not as a, what?
well, the mechanism of control. I want to stay there for a second because I think that this is active. This is active in your life. That mechanism, just because we're aware of it right now, doesn't mean it's gone. So
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about like what can be done now that we know that this has been brought into awareness. I'm assuming that your theory is you can't do anything. That's your point, is there's nothing that can be done, and anything that you think of to do about it is part of the problem that's creating it.
It's tricky because I think there are things that can be done, but it's very nuanced, and I think there's stages in one's development, and that's what the first step in AA. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, and our lives had become unmanageable. We admit total defeat in some way. My inability to control drinking, no matter what I've tried, and the fact that me running my life has made it worse. And so,
Can you tell the difference between actions that occur in your day-to-day experience and thoughts that precede those actions? Can you see that happening in real time while you're moving and living?
the difference between action and thought?
Can you recognize when you take actions out of a space of intuition or unknowing versus having a thought and then proceeding along the lines of that thought? Can you see that mechanism at play?
Yeah. One action is prompted by a thought about what I'm going to do and why. The other action just seems to be the correct thing to do without a thought justifying why or presenting an outcome that it's going to be attained by this action.
So when we're texting about the mechanisms of, or not the mechanism, when we're texting about the YouTube channel, talking about approaching how we approach it, are you seeing these thoughts? You've had these thoughts and then you're sharing them with me, or are they occurring and you see yourself typing these on your phone? I want to know the latency between thought arriving in your thumbs versus thought appearing in your head.
When we're talking about plans for the YouTube channel, these are things I've thought about and planned out that I'm intending to execute according to a known plan.
Okay, so that's what I want to hang with for a second. Are you aware how damaging that can be?
I'm aware how damaging it can be to not plan things when it comes to.
Okay, why do you think this?
Can you imagine building a house and not having blueprints ahead of time?
If you've never built a house and you don't know what the house looks like, what are you going to do? I got to figure out if this board and this metal cylinder object will stick to this other board if I hit it hard enough first. I'm talking about like never seeing a house, never really knowing a house. You've seen other people's houses.
I would get a blueprint from someone who's built a house and hire someone who knows how to build a house.
Which involves communicating with other people, correct? You wouldn't go to the Library of Alexandria and look up all the different blueprints of houses and then bring that back, and then unless there was like strict directions like an erector set.
Well, they used to before the economy got out of control, you would order a house from Sears or whatever. They would mail you all the supplies and the directions, and the family would build it themselves.
Beautiful.
So yeah, you'd follow the directions. There'd be a known plan. You wouldn't nail random boards together. You'd
So
follow the known blueprint.
so there nobody has mailed us an instruction manual of how to operate, build our own brand, our own channel, and our own style. No one sent
Right.
us that manual.
That information is readily available online. Thousands, millions of people have built successful channels. The blueprint is there. There's no reason to build our own.
But you were telling me this about the sober living as well, and I was one who came from working in the industry of sober living and recovery, and you were telling me there were these blueprints.
We didn't follow a blueprint. We were trying to make our own.
I know. What I'm really trying to point at is the mechanism that I think is causing the problem, and because you said you're open to feedback, because I experienced the same mechanism. I was constantly trying to plan and strategize all the shit I was doing with the music, with the app. I actively prevented the app from growing because I had plans based on the research I had done about humanistic psychology and how to generate organic retention and growth. And I halted the development of the thing because of my ideas about what I had researched.
Well, you halted so you can have your own plan, but in that case, you're not deferring to experts that have other ideas. Is that what held up the project?
The mechanism at play that I believed I knew what needed to happen did not give an opportunity for any expert to appear. And if they did, I didn't hear them. Or I didn't see them.
Yeah,
it's the same thing that you described with prayer. As the moment you pray for growth, you get shown challenges. We are literally creating our experience.
No. Look, that's not a problem with planning. That's a problem with you not being open to expert opinion or other, like.
I was open to expert opinion. I had UX and UI designers around me, and I was not hearing what they were saying.
That's not a problem with the plan. That's a problem with you.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I see that same mechanism at play. When you're trying to plan and strategize and you're thinking all the ways to make first off, you got to ask yourself, what is it do I really want? Like, why do I want the channel to work? So you want to understand.
Plan, it's trying to exert control.
What do you think planning is in that sense? The way that you're visualizing how the thing should work. Like, so you correct.
Has
just
some level of control exerted. Otherwise, you can't build the house.
Okay, you're telling me this. This is what you're telling me. I'm trying to present a different thought here.
Tell me how to build a house without a plan.
I'm not. My whole point is, why do you even feel like you need to know what needs to happen in that way? Whatever mechanism that's going on in your brain that's trying to plot and strategize itself to a perceived, imagined better future is problematic. That's what I'm saying. No, it doesn't matter whether it's a house or a YouTube channel or your diet or your you're
conflating. No. So there's a difference between trying to control or exert power over your own body and mind and building a known product. There are areas when planning makes sense. There are areas that when that extends to one's life, one's psyche, one's being, it becomes a way to exert control over one's experience. That's the problem.
So I hear what you're saying.
I'm going to build a house. I'm going to build a house so that I'll have X experience. There's a problem.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I think you're missing what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
Because I was asking you about the latency between thoughts that appear and then your thumb moving on the phone to send the text. And then you're saying you had thought all this and looked at all this stuff and you see a plan and a way forward. In my estimation, that is acting out of or not within the flow or the stream or the actualized state of being that could potentially dissolve neurological symptoms. That the same thing that you've experienced, I've been through. I literally have done this so many times, trying to plan the different approaches at how I was going to create myself, my projects, my life. Melissa, Eli, I was not with them. I was in Brunswick with you because I had ideas about what my life needed to be. So I know exactly, I feel like I understand what what's at play here in regards to the mind, how tricky it can be.
I don't I don't think you can just universally say all planning
I'm not
is
saying that. I'm pointing at
it's
you specifically. This week alone. I mean, you said it yourself on the text. You said this is not what I should be thinking about. I agree. I'm not telling you it's not. It's definitely not what you should be thinking about. And then you wind up in the ER.
I
That's
think
what I'm
you're making
saying.
wild leaps here. Like
Why?
there's no, but I'm not I don't go to the ER because I'm planning a YouTube channel based on best
No, no,
practices.
no, no, no. But would you, for the first 40 minutes of the show, we were talking about your entire life and how your mind has stopped itself up, but with anxiety, thinking you're dying, and then how you get sober. You describe the whole system of the way your mind is, and I'm just pointing out that whatever mechanism at play that you've been struggling with is still active. And I'm saying, like, you attempting to plan and strategize the best algorithmic approach for a YouTube channel before we have any content on it is part of that is a representation of the mechanism that is causing that I would propose. And I'm no expert, and I only have my own experience, and I'm mirroring my experience based on what you described. So I could be wrong here. But all I'm saying is this is a possibility.
Yeah.
That this desire or need that seems to manifest in the form of strategic planning, I would be very wary of moving forward if I was in your chair.
Yeah,
That's
so
all I'm saying.
the way I used to do things is I'm going to figure out my own plan. I'm going to do things a better way. And in this instance, I don't want to do that at all. I want to know what other people have done. Let's go do it the way that's known. That's the plan I'm trying to not come up with my own idea about how to do this. I'm saying, what do we already know works? What are people doing?
And I'm asking you to trust fall. I'm asking you to have an experience. And I think this ties in, and I said this a few weeks ago.
So it sounds like your own plan for me.
Oh no, I'm wheeling and dealing. I had no idea this is what we would be talking about. I have no
Okay,
idea
no,
whether or not
say
this
that,
plan
but
is for
then
you.
you didn't think about it beforehand, so it's
I did not think about this
not your
beforehand.
plan because no, your brain's got its own shit going on, whether or not you're conscious of those thoughts or not. Like there's no your brain is moving your body. It doesn't have to telegraph its moves to you through thought first. But we think, okay, because I thought about it, it's a plan. Because I didn't think about it, it's somehow coming from flow. No, it's coming from your brain in both cases.
Okay.
So what is this thing you're acting on that's not yourself?
What do you mean? It's just it's just what I'm seeing.
So when you're saying like having a plan versus not having a plan is somehow acting from self versus not, it's a false distinction.
Okay.
Like flow can absolutely include planning.
Okay, what I was attempting to do was to bridge everything I just shared and then connect it with what Ines had said about the emotional suppression. And I would also attempt to connect it with the fact that I've been doing this, sharing myself actively and emotionally publicly for years. So I don't have that barrier of feeling out loud in front of a screen or in front of people. And also, like in AA meetings, I know you've had some experience there, but also like a lot of times we'll get in those meetings and share what we think needs to say, or we think needs to be helpful, or we think that should help. Like, but I've got this to I guess just to honor what it is I've actually experienced, the level of vulnerability that I can reach or have reached publicly is I've got that experience. And so when I look at what you're describing, because I've experienced what you've experienced as well, and I see what's going on, I encourage more, let's show up and express and feel and be in this thing rather than think what this thing should be and then create it. I'm saying we need to actively live in it.
So yeah, that's your plan for how you want the channel to be run.
No, 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 no. That's my idea about what is going to create some level of understanding and growth between the two of us. The
How
manifestation
is
would
that
be,
different from having a plan for? You,
it's not a plan, it's just what I'm seeing. Based on
you,
everything you just told me and my own experience with dealing with thought.
I've told you how I think the best way to run the channel is. Now you, but the whole time also have been telling me the best way you think we should run the channel is. But it's a problem because I have a plan, but you don't have a plan because it's just what you're seeing.
In response to you, yeah. And you're doing the same thing with me.
Yeah, but so what you're telling me is entirely hypocritical.
Yes, yes. And I'm willing to admit that.
So what do you so what's your point? Like
The only
you have
point I was
a plan.
making
You have a way
was,
you want it to go.
well, the only point I was making was I'm interested in your well-being. I'm interested in you not having to have panic attacks. And the only point I'm making is the way your brain attempts to plan and strategize, I've experienced also, and it can be problematic.
So I understand that. And I'm not trying to approach the channel that way. The problem I've had, which is why I'm dropping it now, problem I've had, like I haven't like I've tried to approach it very simply with minimal thought, just going to follow best practices. I have not been able to convince you to accept that. You've pushed this kind of your own what we're going to do, just like I have an idea, and there's zero movement, budge, or compromise there on either side. Therefore, it's creating more thought than it needs, and that's why like it's like, okay, I'm not gonna push this anymore because I'm getting nowhere. I'm having to expend enormous amounts of energy to try to present why I think just following known best practices is the best way to approach it. I haven't been able to get that through 1 centimeter. And so I'm, capitulating there. So like I'm giving up for my like I'm doing that. It's not because you're convincing me the plan's bad, because I see the plan just won't work because there is not an alignment between us in how we want to think about the channel. It's just not there. It's not happening. I like no matter. Would you agree? So what we end up doing is now it's being done your way. I haven't been able to get in an inchwise. So now it's totally Adam's way, the way Adam's been doing it and wants to continue doing it.
I
Yes
read
or
it
no?
different. I read it differently.
What did you
It,
read?
I read it as you wanted to go back to doing your way, and I wanted to go back to doing my way. That you're right. This conflict that we were having, the energy that it took to try to grapple with your plans of what you thought best practices were and my idea of what art is was in conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So it
not my
sounded like
idea.
we both decided let's both drop it.
I'm just saying, like, look it up. What does the data say? What have other successful people done? Let's do that. That's you know. But like if we I'm not willing to invest significant time into an endeavor that's not founded on that, is what I'm saying. Like I've got my own art projects I'm doing.
And I guess my position was we don't have enough data to actually apply any of those outside of our weekly experience of how we're going to make a better show. Like my thought was we need to focus on how can we be talking better? How can we have stronger topics? How can we be more engaging? What is it that's working with us when we're live, when we're on air? What is it that's working when we're editing? Mine's all about the product. I'm more focused on just the actual experience. I'm open to what you described. I just don't think we're there yet. I think we're in iteration and experimentation.
Yeah, I think the way to get there is pick something, stick to it, and then you have
Which
the
is
day.
honestly, dude, look at the Have we ever been this consistent with anything ever? Have you? I haven't.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, well then I'm then I'm just the I'm a wacky wavy inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Yeah, and my approach is I don't want to be wacky, waving, and inflatable on this. Like I want to know what our that yeah. So it's like I don't want to get deep into this and with like some plan that's just going to flex and move. I want to because I've done that. That's always been my approach. Like I'm trying not to make the same mistakes I've
Well, to
always made.
me, I'd be interested to hear. I mean, there's tons of chat here. I kind of lost sense of time and space because I got in the weeds with you. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think, based on if there even is a direction for what we're trying to do. Are we making sense at all? Because the way I guess I see it is we can create what you want while it's happening.
What do you mean?
Like I would say like our like I don't know, maybe I'm done with maybe we're done with the topic.
Yeah, like I don't care what we do as long as yeah, my thing is like I don't care what we do, what we end up making. I'm open to any outcome as long as it's done consistently according to what's known about how the platform operates, best practices, known success. Like I don't want to experiment with like creative new content release strategies or like we're gonna do this type of video and then that type of video. We're gonna do 3 types of videos and see blah blah blah. I've read nothing that suggests that's good. Everything I've read suggests, you want to stick with one thing from the beginning for your best chance at being
Well,
successful. So
we know what our main topic is: spirituality, awareness, philosophy, meditation. Like this is what we're talking about, and I think that I'm from I just the only thing that's going to get in the way is my own ideas. Really, like it's already
why do you
happening.
keep expressing them at me like I need to follow the ideas you're telling me?
Well, I'm not. You don't. I guess it's not. I don't need you to follow anything. It's just
But like the thing is,
I think it's the friction between like
your ideas and my ideas. And one of your ideas is not following your own ideas. Yet that's the thing I keep coming up against. Is your
no. Each day is every day you wake up and you're in a body and you look at your, like, at least I look at my hands, I look at the room around me and I go, what the hell? Okay, what is this now? And then I start seeing thoughts. Okay, so like there's no way to really know what an idea is or through or how in which I'm operating until it's like seen. My point is like I would behoove us to be more in the unseen rather than taking thoughts or ideas, crystallizing them, and then acting from that space. I would say dropping thoughts, ideas, and allowing ourselves to see what happens.
Can you explain how that's not an idea of how you want to operate?
Because I've seen what happens when I operate out of my own ideas and plans. I've had miserable, no good, very bad times
A
when I've
belief
planned and
system?
strategized.
You've formulated a belief system based on experiences, and that
It's
belief
not
system.
it's not a belief system.
Explain that. Why not? How is it not?
I don't have to believe anything. It's
You believe it will happen again.
No, it does happen. It's continuing to happen. It's not a belief. It happened earlier this week. I had a full day of despair. It's still happening. That's my whole point, is like when I was talking about the mechanism at play that brings you to the ER, which we're not aware of or sure of what entirely it is. It's psychosomatic, like you say. I'm saying it's still there.
So I would suggest that the solution isn't to avoid thoughts. It's to get to the root of why my thoughts might be so warped that they're causing me issues, and then fix the core of that. I don't think it's possible. Like, and so that's kind of my thing. Like,
So let me ask you that. Where do you see, you think thought has some value? Do you think thought whispering around in our head as we move through time and space has value?
yes, to say all thought is bad is it's ignoring like nuance, like discursive background thinking. Yeah, pointless. Intentional thought, like I said, someone had to sit down and think about how to build a house to make the blueprint for it. That's great. How do you make a bridge without thought? You can't. How do we have this communication on the internet right now without thought? You can't. You
Yeah,
know,
practical thought for
the
an
person
aim.
who invented like, this telecommunication technology isn't having a fucking breakdown every night because they're using their brain during the day. Not
Right.
everyone has a problem you or
But
I have with, like, it's a level of control. Like, I think turning those thoughts around in a way to control your environment and experience, I think, is the problem. It's the proper application of thought that's learning how to properly apply thought is the art, not avoiding it entirely. First we avoid. Then we learn how to integrate what works, right? But to say like all thought is bad, I think is an immature understanding. I think it's kind of the first.
yeah, well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying 90% of our thoughts throughout the day are completely useless. 90%. And then the ones that grab hold of me and start to create plans or ideas about how this needs to be happens. It happens. I can't always catch it. It's going to be happening. And it locks me up. And I have a no good, very bad day. And then I have to remember, oh crap, I created this rule system for myself for no reason.
Yeah. So the practice is, can you learn to recognize that, not fall into that trap, and then be able to plan things that need planning. So look, like I'm a homeowner.
You're a
I'm
homeowner.
responsible for taking care of the family here. Are you telling me I don't need some kind of plan for how to maintain the house or
I'm
take care?
saying that plan to maintain the house and take care of the family is practical thought. If
Okay,
I were
right.
to if I were to if I were to strategize, if I were to take that beyond the practical usefulness of this A needs to match the B to get to the C, and there's rules and there's systems and there's math and there's like you understand the playing field of your house and what needs to get done. Practically speaking, yes, planning and thinking is very helpful. But when
Yeah.
it comes to strategy, like you're talking about the strategy of creating a successful YouTube channel. That's the example we're using right now. Or the strategy for me to create a song that has a reach, like that can land in a lot of people's ears.
You can't do that, but you
That's my point.
can strategize against about how to make a channel. There's no formula for making a song that everyone likes. Actually, there is. It's pop songs.
Yeah,
We
but
do know.
some work and some don't.
Yeah. So we can look at the majority of channels that work and see what they're doing. And we can look at the channels that fail or what people said didn't work and not do that.
Right, and I'm saying like yes, we can do that. I would strongly encourage you, based on everything you told me about how you're experiencing yourself, to try to let those thoughts go away. Don't give them any credence.
And I'm saying that's not the strategy and a plan is not the problem. It's the strategy and plan about how to control my experience. You can have a strategy for the channel. The problem is when you need the channel to go a certain way to be okay. And I'm going to say the root thought that's poisonous gets subtly attached when something crystallizes, like you were saying. into an idea of how things need to be. Okay, we've crossed a line from like how I'm going to pilot the ship to the exact point the ship needs to go. But further, the thought is X needs to happen for me to be okay. All right.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That's the thought, the invisible thought that doesn't even consciously come up. So like that's a thought there's never experienced as a thought, but is underneath the thoughts, giving them weight and gravity that they don't deserve. It's not I'm planning a YouTube channel, it's that my plan has to work in order for me to be okay. We need X subscribers to be okay. Adam has to accept my plan for me to be okay. Or like if the you know, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that still doesn't explain the buildup of tension and anxiety that causes a person to have a panic attack.
Yes, it does. Yes, it absolutely does. That is the root of it. I need X to be okay, or I need X to not happen for me to be okay. If that addendum for me to be okay is not there, that tension, that control, that anxiety will not be there unless it's simply physiological.
But what about the undercurrent of suppressed emotion? Like it sounds like you just wrapped everything in a bow
If
and
there's
just
suppressed,
laid it
oh,
out, but like
no, suppressed emotion, yeah, like stuff in the physiological stuff needs to be addressed and released. But things that are created actively by thought, I need X to be okay, that's different, right? Stuff that's built up in the body's got to go. Or you can also release your need for the body to be well. Like, the thing about fear is that fear commands the brain to care about it. That's the purpose of fear. It commands you to care about the body. But if you could get into a place where you just accept panic attacks, and I think that's one of the first things one needs to do in order to heal. You just have to accept it first. That doesn't mean you're going to like it, but you can get past the idea, I can't have them. Okay, that thought's got to go. I can have them. It's okay. Already it's going to be lessened and mitigated. But if it's a physiological thing, that's different from the body's response to a cognition of some kind. But I want to stay on this. Like, can we agree that thought is not dangerous? The thought that subtly has the postfix in order to be okay, or the belief I need X in order to be okay, is what causes the attachment, the tension, the despair, all that.
yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. I would say it's a little more nefarious than that because thought can turn into belief, and belief creates a concept.
That's the belief. That is the I need this to be okay. I'm saying that's the belief.
So
Other,
I
go
guess
ahead.
from where I'm sitting, I'm not interested in any concepts or beliefs. I don't like them at all.
Why?
Because it takes me out of the active experience of being. It takes me out of the liveliness and the enamorment with existence itself if I'm thinking about it or conceptualizing it.
It puts one to sleep. My experience when beliefs are not the dominant operating principle, it's a feeling of waking up. It's a feeling of coming alive when you were dead before and didn't realize it.
Yeah, I heard something interesting the other day. Peterson said we don't actually see objects in our field of vision. He said we see mini narratives. And he gave the example of a chair. Like, why is a beanbag a chair, but also that stool is a chair? He was saying when you look at an object, you see a mini story. You don't actually see the object.
Yes, but you can see the object. But yeah, we see stories around us, and like there's a little. So the wisdom, if there is any, and totally trying to avoid thought or whatever, is that it's hard to if it's hard for someone to distinguish between reality and the story, or if the more one practices thought, the more active that story mechanism might be. But I don't think you can. I mean, if you look around your room right now, Adam, what do you see? Objects or stories?
Well, you just put me in a weird state of being, so I'm not I'm
What do
not
you?
sure. Like yeah, I'm see objects and then I'm literally watching my brain come online when I recognize that weird oblong thing is a lamp. So it's a light
Yes.
source. I'm
You
watching
see?
this happen in real time now.
Yes.
But right
You see?
now everything's a weird kind of everything's unified. Everything is there's no I can't the only time there's a distinct object is when my attention comes online and right now it's not really online.
No, your attention's online. It's just not focused on objects. So what is it focused on?
Oh, dang. So if you change your thought life, you change your life basically. Because my thought it's focused on your line of thought right now. I'm in your I guess your stream of consciousness.
Yes. If you change the stories and change the beliefs, it will change your life because your life is governed automatically by what you believe. That is the. I don't know if.
Inner life.
What?
We're talking about the inner life, right?
Well, a change in the inner life that drastic will change your outer life. If you no longer believe that having a nice house is what you need to be okay, you'll stop trying to get it, and so that'll actually affect where you live. So your outer life will, over time, conform to your inner life.
So this is what you're saying sounds like a way to channel and flow energy more efficiently. Because if you're not focusing on or thinking on things that take and drain energy, the energy has somewhere else to go eventually.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one of the reasons I like when we're talking about our channel plans. I'm spending what I meant by it's like I'm thinking, worrying about the wrong things. I'm spending way too much of my energy on this channel and how trying to convince you how to run it. And like, really, that's when I went to the ER, when I thought I was going to die yesterday morning at 4:30 a.m. What I realized was um, this channel is not where I primarily want my energy to go. I want to be making music and putting out my own videos about different stuff if I'm going to be doing any of this related stuff. Um, and it's funny because given that I've basically limited bandwidth visually for computer time each day, I'm forced to choose. My plan that I came up with included working on all three in a proportionate amounts. But as it is, I basically have to choose one thing I'm going to do. Um, and when the choice,
This is where practical planning comes into play. Because if all you need to do is know that from Fridays from 10 to 11:30 all you got to do is show up, that's manageable. If there's
yes,
nothing else you have to do.
yes. So yeah, I came up with a plan based on my experience with how I work, how my brain works, what I need to thrive based on my experience, what I've learned about my. This goes back. If you're over the age of 35, you should have all the answers by now. Watch our video on that. Um, so I made this plan based on what I know about myself and how I best work. Um, the the problem was, um, so that's yeah, no problem. The
Ugh,
problem,
I have a
the
problem with it.
wait, the problem is
uh,
the physical reality. My actual emotional and physical capability at this time doesn't allow me to execute that plan.
yeah. You need a
Right,
complete.
but that's not, not a problem.
You need a reboot.
No, so like that's not a plan. The problem with the plan at the time, the plan was sound. Given evolving physical circumstances, the plan has to be adjusted. The problem, the suffering comes in when the plan is not adjusted to reality. When I try to continue to force my plan rather than adapt to what is. It's not that have to drop all plans, but I adapt them. And so like that was, you know, the realization is, okay, the first few weeks, I'm trying to push through it or just wait it out. Then eventually the realization is this is how it is right now. I have to adapt to current circumstances. Until I made that kind of, so I was experiencing a lot of distress and despair because I had not allowed myself to mentally adapt to the new circumstances. Because get this too, it's not just my work that's on the computer. My major hobbies are blowing up robots in MechWarrior 5 and making music. Imagine not being able to do the work you enjoy or the hobbies you enjoy and not having much of a life outside that and being forced to and not being able to read and being forced to sit around your house. That's distress for an extended period of time, weeks. That's distressing. But once I started adapting to that, I bought a air rifle, and I go out target shooting in the backyard now. And then we went to the river. So now I'm starting to thrive again because or I have the chance to because I'm adapting. I'm actually searching out things I can do that aren't on the computer. Had this not happened to me, I would be stuck in the same paradigm, the same way of living indefinitely. And I caught myself thinking the other of it. I've thought this several times actually. This suffering or this whatever's going on is one of the best things that's ever happened to me because it's really forced me to expand how I live. And I was wading around in this little creek or river the other day. And what struck me was that our lives are essentially as big as the sum of our likes minus the sum of our dislikes. And that my life had become very small because my likes were essentially in this basement room involving the computer, the things I like doing. And my discomfort, my dislikes were growing and growing. So it struck me if you change or expand what you like and shrink or adapt to what you dislike or is uncomfortable, then your life, your world grows. Really, the size of your world is defined by these things because it's going to determine what you do. If you like a very small amount of things, you dislike a wide amount of things, your world's going to shrink. So the question is, can you actually change what you like? And I'm experimenting with that by I'm forced to do different things. So I'm trying to adapt, actually intentionally like new things so that my go-to isn't always on the computer for what I want to do. And get comfortable with discomfort because that is the life killer. That is the world shrinker. Avoidance of discomfort is, avoidance of discomfort is over the long term worse than just experiencing the discomfort by far. And there's nothing really uncomfortable except, I don't know, that's where thought comes in again. It's like when there's an IV in my arm in the ER, no problem. My thought about that needle hanging out of my arm, very uncomfortable. When I would think about the IV, it would actually hurt. It had these weird pins and needles sensation. It was really uncomfortable. When I'd stop thinking about it, it didn't hurt. It wasn't actually uncomfortable. My thought about it was uncomfortable, even though it's a physical thing stuck in my arm.
NS has a great thought. This is NS's what NS says. He says, read is tight on time, and being here once a week doesn't fulfill him. He needs a break from you, Adam.
I'll tell you what doesn't fulfill me is editing these videos, but we've decided we're just going to post the live stream. Oh, that threw me for a loop. I realized we're already posting the full live stream on Adam's channel, and then I was like, wait, why the fuck am I editing these videos anyway? Um, so anyway, it's like I'm doing that in lieu of like making music, and I was like, you know, that's yeah, I gotta make the tunes, bro. I gotta make music that no one listens to be fulfilled. No, Adam doesn't fulfill me. That would be another thought. I need Adam to be okay. It's not true.
He's never needed me to be okay. I'm the one with attachment issues, not Reed.
Yeah, Adam, do you need to be okay to be okay?
No, 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 I agree with what you said. I think everything you just, I mean, I don't know about the likes or dislikes part of what you said, but I do know about the discomfort being important. Like not avoiding discomfort, not avoiding the truth, not avoiding being honest, like yeah, like, and I would take it even a step further is especially in relationship with Melissa, one of the turning points of our relationship was when I stopped, when we would get into, and I don't like using the word fights or arguments because I feel like you have to like, you have to throw a punch to be in a fight. Otherwise someone's just fighting. There's no real fight. But anyway, that's besides the point. When I stopped avoiding the fights and leaning into them and sharing and expressing my point of view, so much stuff got better. And that was super uncomfortable for me. I don't understand rising emotions. I think that elevated emotions are completely unnecessary. So anytime it would happen, I would shut down. But now I've allowed myself to feel and think and express, and it's been super uncomfortable, but extremely beneficial.
Yeah. So like
I can do it on here. I can do it on songs and podcasts, but in real life, that's where my practice is.
So I've done that for a long time. So one of the bad ideas I picked up from pop spirituality is that you're not supposed to have emotions, or you're supposed to feel equanimous,
Equanimity.
whatever. And then that was just so like, the thing is like at a certain point, maybe that's true, and you kind of reach that state where you're not as emotionally reactive. You know, Innes said something like that on the interview, and I agree. But to prematurely apply that to yourself, like you're supposed to be that way,
Yeah.
causes neurosis, and I think is a problem. It's just like non-dual awareness. We hear these ideas from teachers, like I'm just going to use Spiro as my example, at going forward. But like you hear these, oh, I'm supposed to be conscious or whatever. If you hear that as a limited character, it causes neurosis because the limited character is trying to go into be applying this idea of consciousness. Bad idea, doesn't help. If you hear that and then you experience yourself as this, then it's kind of pointless because you're already that anyway. So I'm not actually sure what the fuck.
I know what it's for. It's great. It's a relief valve. It's so nice when I hear Spiro.
But
when I hear these teachers talk about it, when Ines goes on about it, when you go on about it, I love it because it's like, oh, that's what this is. That's all it's for, though.
Yeah, right. And if it's someone, I think it's just confusing or damaging for someone to misapply those ideas. But anyway, so like, yeah, admitting emotions, expressing them, because that's a physiological response. So like, I'm looking at this as like, you know, the nervous system and brain, that emotion or even the thought is verbalizing a physical process in some way. So it's not, you just can't, like, if they temper themselves over time through seeing things differently and changing belief systems, is great. But to try to actively change or suppress them is the heart of neurosis, because it's like, you know, it's like a hand, the right hand punching the left hand or something, thinking they're different, or the right hand trying to cover the left hand, thinking they're distinct entities, but they're not. Like this is all stuff inside me, emotion. So We're a brain and a nervous system that's learned to be aware of itself and has the ability to. So I think thoughts aren't necessarily trash because it's verbalizing an unseen physical process. And that's kind of like this mystery miracle is how does an unseen electrical process ever actually gain the ability to form itself into language in order to express itself? That's a trip. That's advanced shit. Too bad it says stupid shit half the time.
Well, yeah,
But
I have a hard time grappling with that concept.
yeah, we think we're advanced, but we're not. I think we're in a very primitive stage of evolution. Very primitive. Which means there's great hope for us in the future if we don't
Well,
destroy our.
it's just so weird that ideas create people. People don't create themselves.
No, but with awareness, I think you can have a hand in that.
Well, that's Krishnamurti, right? That's all he was pointing at, was to be in a state of choiceless awareness gives you the opportunity to be a real human being or unique or true.
Well, it's like, so, in recognizing avoidance of discomfort is limiting, you can intentionally seemingly move towards just like expand your comfort zone. And so you can shape yourself and your world in that way.
The
So like,
problem I have with all this stuff, what we're going down now, is it's thought based. It's not lived.
yeah, yeah. So yes, so for, yeah, how do you, once it becomes a thought, it becomes a belief, then it can be misapplied and it's just the same old stuff.
That was my sentiment listening to Peterson this week. Was that's the tragedy of Jordan Peterson. I mean, him and Sam are going back and forth, and they're having this really, really deep intellectual, analytical exploration of human consciousness and individuality and the will to action and how to create well-being. And it's like they're looking at all the phases, and it's super interesting. But at the end of the day, it's knowing all that and being able to describe all that does not change a person.
No, the danger is in thinking because you know it, you are changed, and therefore you do not change. And you've closed yourself off to what could change you because you think you already know it. So that's
That's, I think, why after all of the intellectual exploration, he arrives at clean your room.
Who said
but
that?
Even that's Jordan Peterson. His number one rule for life is like tidy up your bedroom.
I know, but see, that's the thing, in Zen too, what chop wood, carry water, or like, what is the, what is the Buddha, it's a reed or whatever, or like these real practical things. So like, what do you do now that you're enlightened? You cook your food and eat your meal at mealtime. The problem is that's also an idea. It's pointing to something true, but if you think, oh, like enlightenment is just me cleaning my room, no, you don't get it. Because like actually just cleaning your room is way different from thinking, I'm going to just clean my room in order to express something. But then it's also different from just unconsciously cleaning your room while you're thinking about shit.
Well, that's what's so interesting about being in a state of choiceless awareness throughout the day is when I'm doing the dishes and I allow myself to be completely uncomfortable with the fact that I'm doing the dishes, but I'm aware of it and it's still happening. It doesn't mean it's a great feeling or a joy or I'm getting anywhere. It's just being where you are. Yeah, it's just being where you are.
Yeah, and then there's nothing to say about being where you are, but like, in these pop spirituality, being where you are gets turned into some kind of transcendental experience. And then I spent a long time thinking I wasn't where I am, because surely if I was where I am, then like I'd be having this mind-blowing, wonderful experience. Um, but and I blame people like Rupert Sphera for like, the way they speak about presence or consciousness or whatever sounds like this big, preferable, amazing experience. And so if I'm not feeling good, therefore I must not be what I am and I must not be here. Um, and I just created this so therefore hearing the idea of freedom created an additional trap that I was caught in. Um, it's like, I think, someone on that Krishnamurti, I don't know why I was on the subreddit for Krishnamurti or whatever, but someone was saying he was a great teacher. And I said, no, he's not. If Krishnamurti was a great teacher, the subreddit wouldn't exist. No one would be here talking about him. There wouldn't be a discussion. You would have watched his video, you would have gotten what he said, and you would have had, in a lot of cases, you would just have gone and to live a better life. Some people will hang around and talk about it, I guess, but
well, I think it's more like, and I shared about this on the Discord this week. I think it's more like the I Ching. Like Krishnamurti's expressions are for everyone to discern and grapple with themselves. Like it's not just Krishnamurti. It's the things I've said to you today. It's the things you've said to me. It's the things Ines and Joe have said and Clementine have said. Like it's the entirety of life itself is a song that's attempting to communicate things to me and to you. It's
yes.
like, am I able to get out of my own? Am I able to listen and hear what it's saying? Am I able to digest it and watch how it gets digested in this and see what comes out?
So what I'm saying is, so Krishnamurti's talking and you're listening to his teaching or whatever, but zoom out and there's Krishnamurti talking over here, DeMello's talking over here, sound of the washing machine over here. Don't zoom in on the speaker or the teacher, but zoom out on just that's one part of what's speaking to you, like you said. But we get fixated, we focus in on one thing and then try to hear that one thing. But really, what that one thing is asking us to do is to zoom out and hear not all things, but hear.
You could stop it with just hear.
Or that there are things to be heard.
Yeah.
You don't hear what Krishnamurti's saying. Do you hear that he's talking? Do you actually hear that he's talking?
Do you hear what's going on inside of you in relationship to what he's saying? Do you hear what's going on in the birds and the wind going across your skin? Like, this is a trippy experience. A state of non-dual awareness. Like, that's why the presence and all that stuff, like if we get into concepts and describing it based on thought, it's completely useless. But to live and to be, like, it's miraculous.
But don't turn miraculous into, it's use a word like miraculous, and then someone's going to hear that and think there's an idea of what miraculous feels like. So it's so hard to express this kind of stuff. Because miraculous certainly sounds different from me just sitting here.
Well, that's what Ines just said. Ines says Krishnamurti taught for 50 years and none of his followers became enlightened. Useless teacher and useless teaching. So the thing that I admire about Jim Newman And Spira at times is it opens me up to experience by following Newman's line of thought. When I plug him in randomly, when he gets plugged in, it wakes me up. So he's accomplished it for me personally. It's like, oh shit, I'm here and this is crazy that anything is even here and who's doing it. And I go, whoa, it's worked. It's like you've gotten me a little high. Congratulations.
So is that different from someone going to church and hearing the hymns and chants? They're repeating the doctrine that brings them back into.
If it becomes a belief, it's a problem. And I honestly like this is why Gerald, I think, was the best. I mean, he's the Sufi path, the mysticism of Sufi is so grounded that it doesn't want it's not interested in any high or miraculous or extracurricular talk. It's like, where are your feet? What is actually happening? And this is what you are. Now, you can go into those areas, you can take little trips, but at the end of the day, we just want to be competent people on a planet with other people.
I mean, I think so. That's what I'm saying is that it's no. We want the message. We want spirituality to be about transcending pain and suffering and being this transformed person who feels good all the time. Or at least that's what I wanted. That's what I heard. That was the message, the part of the message I latched onto. Like I'm just gonna feel good all the time, be super wise, and be totally different or something. But the reality is, I think it's just about having a normal life. Like I thought I was going to escape a normal life, to escape the mundane things, and it seems to actually be about being with the mundane things and living like being having a I wanted to wander around by myself and be this like wandering barefoot dude that's like wise and shit or something. I don't know. I don't know, but the last thing I wanted was a family, but that's what I have. Um, and the practice is like not because like that idea, this idea of like the spiritual person I wanted to be or whatever, like um that's just another manifestation of the thing that's keeping me locked up. Um,
It's just
it's
another idea. It's
it's
another
another
idea
exist like
that you've created.
yeah, I created based, I saw, maybe like a couple of examples of that. It's just like that authenticity thing. We see people we want to emulate, but it's like that's not like being authentic means accepting the current reality that you're trying to escape from. Like spirituality is not like I just early on it felt like it was providing an escape from a state of being I was never able to change except through drugs. A state of being that was chronically discontent, unhappy, and anxious with no outlet. Through seemingly spiritual things, there started to be moments of relief from that. So it became a thing, just another drug, a coping mechanism. So, like, can you engage with spirituality in a way that's not turning it into a coping mechanism? And I think that's mysticism.
Yeah, and I would say that living a spiritual life is completely individualistic, and it's none of the concepts or ideas. It has to be your own. It can't be anyone else's.
I've always tried to emulate other people's spiritual lives because I did not want my life. I have fought my entire life to not be here now. And then when I heard the concept be here now, I looked at it as a ticket to be in a better here a little bit later, but soon. Uh, it was going to be a better here and now if I could just be here now.
I gotta
Yeah.
pee. I gotta pee really bad.
Why wet your pants? Why not? You have a belief system that you can't do it.
No, I think it's a preference system.
You got to expand your comfort zone, dude. Stop avoiding discomfort.
Well, that's the other thing too. You can't I can't say that either because I'm, yeah, yeah. I remember I think it'd be a fun experiment for you. I don't know if you'll do it or not, but
What would? No, like what you were talking about earlier.
no,
Wetting
the
my pants.
well, no, I don't know anything. If you want to know, if you want to see somebody try to convince themselves that what works for them should work for someone else, you can roll the tape back 30 minutes. I was actively trying to, and this is when we get into tuggles, is because I want to see if what I experience for myself can be applied anywhere else, and it might not ever.
You tell me all the time it can't be, which is frustrating for me because I
Yeah.
think you help people, but you'll be like, you can't help anyone, but you try to.
Well, I might be able to help people that are interested in getting well, but I can't help you. That's my point. I might help
Yeah,
other people, but not you.
no, I've said that before. You can help, you've totally, no, you can't help anyone. They help themselves or whatever. I'm like, that's a point I want to debate with you. Like, absolutely, you can help people, and not even if they want to get well at that time. You can absolutely plant seeds. I mean, like, think about if you'd walked into your first AA meeting and it had been empty. Would you have just been helped? There had to be people there who thought they could help you and were trapped in their experience of the character at the same time. They saved your life because they were actively trying to, which also goes against the idea of can't, plan anything or do anything intentionally or whatever. No, there's people in AA trying to help other people on purpose, and it's working. And their lives are getting better. But service has a special magical quality, honestly. I think that's one of the active acts of selfless love, self-sacrificial love or service. Um, I think that's integral to a life that's any life that's going to have any high degree of well-being in it. Just like eating, drinking, air. There's got to be an active part of a community in a service-oriented way. I think that it's an evolutionary thing. It's a role we're supposed to fill. But you have to pee, so this conversation's not going to go anywhere, so we'll save it for later.
I already peed.
You're gone?
You haven't been watching?
No, I can't see the screen right now. It's not on.
So thought you were talking to me that whole time?
Yeah. Well, I'm
Oh
talking to some.
man.
What time is it? It's time to go.
Hey, NS. Joe, have a great day. Clementine, it was good to see you on here. And yeah, hope to see you all back same time next week. And I hope everybody goes well. Oh, we are actively sharing on the Discord now in the stream of consciousness. All you gotta do is go to the Discord, press the microphone button, and you can just stream of consciousness, whatever you're thinking or feeling, anytime you want throughout the day. Joe is now involved. I've been doing it. Would love to see. And then Ines, I will be reaching out to you soon. Right now I'm not scheduling anything. I'm trying to get everything off the backlog and out into the public, all the stuff I produced. I'm trying to actually do a hard reset as well, just because that's what happened to me. My brain got crystallized of how I need to produce and do. And but yeah, we'll have I want to hear your whole story. I want to hear from the beginning to what happened and where you are. But yeah, everybody have a great day. Reed, you want to close out with anything?
Yeah, there's this yellow bird that keeps trying to fly into this room, and he's been doing it for several weeks. He like keeps trying to come in the window. I don't know why. I don't know what's in here that he's trying to get. He's in the tree, like looking in here right now, trying to figure out how to get through the window.
Joe wants you to let him in.
I want to let him in too. He's a hooded warbler. He's yellow with a black thing on his head.
Can you show us before we go?
No, I don't have a way to orient the camera properly. Why is he coming in? Stop, bro. If I let him in here, he's not going to be able to get out. It's going to be a whole fiasco. Oh, I did decide all my all my white shirts I'm tie-dyeing. I have this urge to wear tie-dye. I don't know why.
I'm
Okay,
just
bye.
I'm just doing I'm just doing the Jim camera look after everything you say.
I can't see.
All right, have a great day, everybody.
Bye.